According to a recent major poll, 9 out of 10 American adults said they had little or no confidence, 9 out of 10, in religious or spiritual leaders or in organized religion. 9 out of 10. But 8 of 10 do believe in God or what they might call a higher power. If that many parents believe in a divine being or power, and if we want to pass on our values to our children, then maybe we'd better figure out how to teach our kids to feel or communicate with this divinity, whether we call it God or higher power. You think? If it's important to us, we need to teach this to our kids. If we don't teach them, they will tend to adopt the lowest possible version of what we believe to be true, whatever's easiest or taught out in the world. And that version is rapidly degenerating, which leaves our kids feeling untethered, feeling like they live in chaos in a confusing world. Don't we all want to give our children the highest version of ourselves and what we believe? Well, of course we do. I received a delightful letter from a father who is consciously loving and teaching his children. And he said, quote, "Today I was playing outside with the kids, and my 7-year-old, Lisa, said she wanted to look for flowers. A few flowers have started to bloom here and there, but we're still a ways off from real spring, so I had some doubts whether we'd be able to find any. And as we were walking, she told me to ask God where we can find flowers." End quote. Now, this is no small pressure on a parent, yeah? The kid is saying, well, you're bigger and you should know more about God, so ask him where to find flowers. But this dad's confidence was not shaken. He continued to write, quote, "I said, okay, and I put my hand on my chest. I took a deep breath, and a few seconds later, she asked me if I heard anything yet. And I said, not yet. How about if you give it a try?" Now, this is genius. Understandably, Lisa was hoping that Dad would take responsibility for talking to God and finding the flowers, but Dad wisely placed the job back on her. It was her desire to find the flowers. He was teaching her this feeling that she wanted to have, not only to find flowers, but to feel God. He knew that his daughter had the faith of a child, not yet spoiled by the pain, confusion, and skepticism of the world. So, back to Dad, quote, "She put her hand on her chest and took a breath. 1.3 seconds later, she said, I don't hear anything. Smiling, I said, it usually takes longer than that. We need to be quiet inside before we can hear God talking to us or feel him. Try again." She put her hand on her chest again and took several breaths, and then she said, "This way," and ran off. Her sister and I followed her, and soon we got distracted playing with other things. The flowers were apparently forgotten. Lisa then said, "Let's take a rest here." So we lay down in the grass, and suddenly she said, "I see bees." Dad says, "I didn't think much of it," and said, "Well, cool, okay, you see bees." After a few more minutes sitting in the grass, I realized the significance of what she'd seen. So I said, "Lisa, if we follow the bees, maybe we can find flowers." Both kids got excited immediately. We looked closely at the bees and could see them collecting little bits of pollen from the budding flowers that were barely formed and still green. We played excitedly with the bees, and then I said to Lisa, "You listened to God, and we found flowers. First, you got the feeling to run in this direction. Not words, but a feeling. And then you got the feeling to sit down. Then you were able to see the bees, and we followed them to where the flowers are." Lisa said, "So God can talk in a feeling?" "Yes," I said. "Sometimes God talks to us with words, but most of the time it's a feeling, just like what you got." She was so happy that she had heard God, felt God. Later, She was brilliant as she told the story to her mother. She said, I put my hand on my chest and I said, God, please help me find pretty flowers. And then I got a feeling that we should go up the hill. And then I got a feeling we should stop and take a rest. And then I saw a bee, and the bee showed us where the flowers are. She was very happy as she told this story. End quote. This was all from Dad. Now, I believe personally that Lisa, 7 years old, did experience a divine feeling, which often includes a sense of direction, whether it be physical direction or a sense of direction in life, the kind that leads us in ways that our brains, our minds cannot. We parents have a glorious opportunity and responsibility to give our children the best we have, which means so much more than just giving them a roof and food, well, and of course, a phone. It means loving them and teaching them the best of ourselves, which includes our highest beliefs, the truths that will elevate their lives above the pain and confusion that they find increasingly surrounding them. This father did that. It took enormous faith and courage for him to take on the responsibility of teaching revelation or divine listening or whatever you choose to call it to his young daughter. He could so easily have caved into his fears that he might blow it or that his daughter would be disappointed. But he didn't cave. He stepped off the cliff, and what a lesson he guided her through. If this father can do it, so can we, but not before we learn to love our children unconditionally and to teach them with confidence and without any fear or irritation. We can learn how to do all of that by going to realloveparents.com.